welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Number to call if you want to join the program, 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840 on this free-for-all Friday. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about. I want to grab a quick soundbite. This is Joe Scarborough on the Morning Joe program, MSNBC, and this is a interesting follow-up to my conversation with Steve Deace, because the question here is, what does this party stand for? Now, he's talking about Colin Powell. Now, Colin Powell is a classic Republican in name only. He has endorsed Barack Obama, the Democrat candidate, twice. And he's all over. He's completely gone on the issue of same-sex marriage. He's on the other side. He's swinging for the other team on that one. He's not pro-life. So the question is, what in the world is this guy doing in the Republican Party? And here is Joe Scarborough, and this is a follow-up to what Steve Deace was saying. Look, before we get a third party, maybe we need to get a second functional political party in America. Here's Joe Scarborough on Colin Powell. Now, if Joe Scarborough was a genuine conservative, if he believed in the Republican Party platform, he would be saying Colin Powell has got to take a hike. He's out of here. He's a Democrat in reality. He needs to go to his true spiritual home. Instead, he said this.
Punished them in almost historic proportions in that midterm election. But, 2012, Republicans got punished because they were the party of Todd Aiken instead of the party of Colin Powell. They were the party of Richard Murdoch instead of being the party of George H.W. Bush. This is a party that Colin Powell wanted nothing to do with, despite the fact a guy like Colin Powell is absolutely necessary if you're going to have two wings of a Republican Party that can win national elections. Chris?
So that's Joe Scarborough. Got to have Colin Powell. He didn't want to have anything to do with these social conservatives, these lunatics, these weirdos, these religious kooks. Didn't want to have anything to do with them. Wouldn't touch Todd Aiken, wouldn't touch Richard Murdoch because they're pro-life. They're genuinely pro-life. He didn't want to have anything to do with that. So he didn't have anything to do with the 2012 election, but and helping to get Republicans elected to office, those that actually believe the platform. But he's absolutely essential today. That's Joe Scarborough. And that illustrates the challenge in front of the Republican Party. Now, let's go back to the testimony yesterday about Benghazi. 888-589-8840 is the number. This is General Martin Dempsey. He's chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He's talking here to John McCain. And the question is, how come there was no help? I mean, you had this attack start. Okay, maybe we can't stop the initial attack. Maybe we can't get there in time to save the ambassador, Chris Stevens, and save his aide. But remember, the second attack, the one that took the lives of the two former SEALs, that happened 7 hours later. So you had a period of 7 hours in which you could get resources to our personnel that were in Benghazi. And you've got these troops that are at Signorella Air Base in Italy. It's 2 hours away by air. They're there. You got General Carter Ham. He's telling them, get your gear on, get ready, load up, because we've got Americans to go save. Never went. The trigger never got pulled. And John McCain wants to know why. Now, he's a guy that has a legitimate right to ask this question because he rotted in the Hanoi Hilton as a prisoner of war. So he's got a legitimate interest in what we're doing to help people that are in the hands of the enemy. And here's how that exchange went.
Did you ever get the message that said they could not withstand a sustained attack on the consulate?
I was tracking that intelligence. I was tracking through General
Did you receive that information?
I did, and I saw it.
So it didn't bother you?
It bothered me a great deal, but
why
we never
didn't you
received
put forces in place to be ready to respond?
Because we never received a request to do so, number one. And number two,
you never heard of Ambassador Stevens' repeated warnings about the lack of security?
I had through General Ham, but we never received a request for support from the State Department, which would have allowed us to put forces
on the ground. So it's the State Department's fault.
I'm not blaming the State Department. I'm sure they had their own
assessment. Who would you blame?
Sorry, sir?
Who is responsible then? It was clear that an assessment was made that they could not withstand a sustained attack on the consulate, with it being September 11th and many other indications that are on that board over there, right, of various attacks that have already taken place.
Mm-hmm. I stand by the report of the Accountability Review Board, but I would also say, Senator, I was also concerned at that time with Sana'a in Yemen, Khartoum, Islamabad, Peshawar, Kabul, Baghdad. We had some pretty significant intel threat streams
Yeah, so you had intel threats. Nobody was getting shot, General Dempsey. Nobody was getting killed, General Dempsey. Nobody in those other places that you claim you were concerned about, nothing was happening there. No Americans were under attack. No Americans were threatened there. And so nobody will accept responsibility for this. Now, I'll tell you frankly, the responsibility here is Hillary Clinton's and Barack Obama's, period. They're the ones to blame for this. Hillary Clinton ignoring repeated requests for strengthened security from Ambassador Stevens. She's completely AWOL the night that her people, her ambassador, my dear friend Chris, couldn't stop talking about him after he was dead, about what a great American he was and how much affection she had for him, always by his first name, Chris this, Chris that. She's AWOL when he's under attack and her other personnel are under attack. But the State Department has the responsibility of providing security for their diplomatic personnel. She didn't do it. She failed miserably in that task. And then Barack Obama is the only one. Now, you know, the general saying, look, we never got a request from the State Department. Hillary never asked us to do anything. So clearly she's derelict in her duty, and yet she's the most popular politician in America today. That shows you what the mainstream media can accomplish when they're sold out for somebody. 61% of the American people think Hillary Clinton is a wonderful person. She left her diplomatic personnel there to die a painful death at the hands of Muslim fanatics and did nothing about it. How in the world does she become the most popular politician in America? The mind, again, continues to reel. And when you look at the forces we had in Italy, they had to cross into another nation's sovereign space. Only the President of the United States can authorize that kind of incursion. That's cross-border authority. General Ham was ready to go. The accounts I've read, he wanted to move. He wanted to go. He wanted to get our troops in there and save our people. He had to get the order from the commander-in-chief. Hillary Clinton can't authorize him to do that. She's not the commander-in-chief. That's got to come from Barack Obama. What's Barack Obama doing? Well, he's either sleeping it off or he's talking to Bibi Netanyahu. He's AWOL. So President Obama has got American lives that are in danger. They're under attack. He does nothing. He's the only one that could have pulled the trigger to get help there, and he did absolutely nothing. Now, a couple of more sound bites, 888-589-8840, number to call. Here is John Brennan. We played the sound bite from him yesterday talking about how wonderful Islam is and how his worldview is shaped by Islam. It's a peaceful religion. It's a religion of tolerance. It's a religion of diversity. This jihad business, that's all about this internal struggle to be a morally upright individual. Got nothing to do with attacking the infidels and cutting their throats. So this guy's absolutely clueless. This guy, I mean, if he believes what the words that are coming out of his mouth, he is clueless to a staggering and dangerous degree. If he doesn't believe it, if he knows he's telling something he doesn't believe, he knows he's lying through his teeth, then he's unqualified. Either way you take it, this guy is completely unqualified to be the director of the CIA. I mean, it is the Central Intelligence Agency. And ladies and gentlemen, you and I, as we're talking here, we are more intelligent about Islam than the guy that wants to be the director of the CIA. Guy is completely, hopelessly, helplessly unqualified for this position. Now, this is a guy that's fine with drones. We'll play these two sound bites virtually back to back, but he believes waterboarding is torture. We've been over this before. Waterboarding is not torture. If you think you're drowning, it's different than being drowned. If you think you're being drowned, it's all in your head. You're not being tortured. It's a mind game. If you're actually being drowned, or you got your toenails pulled out, or you got electrodes being applied to your body, that's torture. But having somebody cause you to think you're drowning when you're actually not drowning, that's not torture. But this poor addled guy believes it is. Let's listen.
Values it's something that should be prohibited, goes beyond the bounds of what a civilized society should employ. My question is this: in your opinion, does waterboarding constitute torture?
The Attorney General has referred to waterboarding as torture. Many people have referred to it as torture. Attorney General, Premier, law enforcement officer, and lawyer of this country. And as you well know, and as we've had the discussion, Senator, the term torture has a lot of legal and political implications. It is something that should have been banned long ago. It never should have taken place, in my view. And therefore, it is, if I were to go to CIA, it would never, in fact, be brought back.
Do you have a personal opinion as to whether waterboarding is torture?
I have a personal opinion that waterboarding is reprehensible and it's something that should not be done. And again, I am not a lawyer, Senator, and I can't address that question.
Well, you've read opinions as to whether or not waterboarding is torture, and I'm just saying, do you accept those opinions of the Attorney General? That's my question.
Well, Senator, you know, I've read a lot of legal opinions. I read an Office of Legal Counsel opinion in the previous administration that said, in fact, waterboarding could be used. So from the standpoint of that, you know, I cannot point to a single legal document on this issue. But as far as I'm concerned, waterboarding is something that never should have been employed, and as far as I'm concerned, never will be if I have anything
to do with it. So now waterboarding, that's how we got Osama bin Laden. Panetta even admitted that the information we got through waterboarding, which is not torture, and you know, Brennan couldn't bring himself to say it's actually torture. He said it's reprehensible. It should have been banned. It never should have been done. But he will not say that it's torture because he knows that it's not. It's simply enhanced interrogation. Now here, clip 5, he actually defends the use of drones. So making somebody think they're drowning, that's bad, that's terrible, that's reprehensible. Killing somebody, attacking them in their home with a drone, that is A-OK. Let's listen.
I think there's a misimpression on the part of some American people who believe that we take strikes to punish terrorists for past transgressions. Nothing could be further from the truth. We only take such actions as a last resort to save lives when there's no other alternative to taking an action that's going to mitigate that threat. So we need to make sure that there is an understanding, and the people that were standing up here today, I think they really have a misunderstanding of what we do as a government and the care that we take and the agony that we go through to make sure that we do not have any collateral injuries or deaths.
So that's Brennan defending the use of drones. We're careful. We agonize. We saw the story yesterday. Drone attacks in Pakistan, 176 children have died. I'm not saying they shouldn't have sent those drones in there. I believe that it's appropriate to use it on the field of battle. My point is, he thinks waterboarding is reprehensible, but he supports using drones to kill 176 children in Pakistan. And I ask you, what kind of twisted value system does this guy have? Focal Point AFR Talk, back with your calls and more. Stay with us.